Good afternoon. Welcome to today's program. I'm Marianne Shuko, a co-founder and director of All's Authors, as well as podcast producer and host, acquisitions editor, and other assorted roles. I'm the author of Blue Hydrangeas, an Alzheimer's love story, which in 2015 inspired me to reach out to other authors of dementia books to create a platform to not only promote our books, but to raise awareness of Alzheimer's and dementia and other resources in this genre. As I said, this program is being recorded, and if you don't want to be seen in the video, because we're going to put it on YouTube, then you might want to turn off your camera. That's okay. Please say hello to everyone in the chat and tell us where you're from. You can also include the name of your book or resource if you'd like. You can use the chat box to ask any questions or share information. And then you can save the chat box to your hard drive. So if you go into chat, you click on the chat box, and on the very bottom in the right-hand corner, there are three little dots, and you click on that and you ask to save chat. It'll save the chat to your hard drive. Then you can review it later. I'd like to introduce a few members of our management team who are with us today. Ann Campanella, Jean Lee, guys got a wave, Vicki Tapia, and Jincy Hines. Thank you all for coming. In addition to being an manager, administrator for All's Authors, I have another role that I've enjoyed as a mentor and teacher to students in independent publishing. And prior to the pandemic, I taught classes in continuing education programs at 3 colleges in New York's Hudson Valley. Most of what I've learned, I had to learn on my own. And I decided years ago to share my knowledge with others. So here we are today. My goal is to teach you how to get book reviews. This is a complex process, but once you build a structure and a routine to request reviews from influential people, you will become a book review pitch machine. Okay, and that's the key word there is a machine, because it takes work. Things just don't automatically happen, which you have probably already learned, right? You are about to receive a deluge of information. You don't need to keep notes because we're recording the session and I will post it on YouTube, and you can review it later as many times as you need. And I'm going to send everyone a copy of the PowerPoint slides so you can have access to the resources that I've highlighted. So that helps relieve a little bit of stress because you can just pay attention. But before we get started, Jean has an announcement she wants to make from one of our authors. So I'm going to turn it over to Jean. Wait a minute, Jean, you're muted.
So I'm not sure how many of you have been on the private writers group today, but there's a great offer from Jane Mullins in the UK. She's looking for some short videos from people, and I've posted what she wrote there, but I'll read it quickly to you here too. She's the author of Finding the Light in Dementia, and she's writing a course for families, friends, and caregivers. So these are her words. I'm developing an online course to build my book for families, friends, and caregivers. This will provide them with up-to-date, easy-to-access films, presentations, and audios to help support them in all stages of their dementia journey, with lifetime access to use as and when they need it. This includes interviews with people living with dementia, family caregivers, and leading professionals and researchers in the field. I'm hoping to have some quick tip films and short films with people such as yourselves, All's Authors, who have been through this experience and would like to offer your insights to help support people. As you know, it's so powerful knowing you aren't alone. And then she gives an email address where you can connect with her, and she'd like to Zoom with you and just get a real short sound bite of, she says, I have a number of themes and ideas I'd like to cover, but I would rather it be more organic in approach, where what springs to mind for you worked and what didn't. That would be really helpful. If you're too shy to be on film, we could create your contribution as a podcast. In return for your generosity, we can add your book details on each resource. So that's a great opportunity for all of you if you want to jump on that. So I'll try to drag this document into the chat, and it's also in our private writers group on Facebook, and it will go out in our email today to our newsletter email.
Awesome. Thank you, Jean. I appreciate that. Just want to remind everybody that the main way we communicate with the authors is through the writers group and the email that goes out every week. So you want to make sure you check that every week, because we're offering a lot of different opportunities for you to get the word out about your book. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Let's go to slideshow. Oops, start. Hopefully I did this right. All right, so today we're talking about how to get book reviews. And why do we even care about book reviews? Why are they important? I think everybody here knows that. It helps with the discoverability of your book. It makes it easier for people to find your book. That's what that means, discoverability. I don't even know if that's a real word, but I like that word a lot. So it helps improve people to find your book because they may be reading about it on another site. And it offers social proof. And that's especially like on your Amazon page. If somebody clicks on there and they see that your book has, 20 or 30 positive reviews, 4 or 5 star average, then it lets people know that, gee, this is a quality book. If they look at it and, there aren't very good reviews, or there really aren't any reviews, people kind of hesitate if they want to be the first one to maybe check out that book. So it gives them some consumer confidence that they're not wasting their money, that they're going to be spending their time on something that's worthwhile. They say that a book needs at least 10 positive ratings before most readers will consider buying it. I don't know if that's true or not. It doesn't always affect my decision making. But that information came from Readsy. Readsy.com is an author website that helps authors with not only publishing their books, but marketing them as well. So if you're not on Readsy, you might want to try to check them out and sign up for their newsletter. A lot of the information I got for this program came from them. And negative reviews also matter. So a lot of people say, oh, it's great, I have all 5-star reviews. That kind of seems hokey to readers, because nothing is perfect and there's always going to be somebody who doesn't like what you have written. It may not even be a reflection of your work. Sometimes people write reviews, they give you a negative review because the book arrived from Amazon and the box was wet, or the book was bent, or something was wrong with it. It has nothing to do with your book. But negative reviews can also matter, because then people can feel that there's like more legitimacy there. Reviews, I think people tend to be suspicious of, because there's a whole, people go out and they try to get all their friends and people to write reviews for them, and they may not really be legitimate. So it's not bad if you have a couple of negative reviews, even if it's about something stupid, that your book was bent when it arrived. Or I've had some, if you look on mine, you'll see that there are some weird things written there, but they make you upset. I mean, everybody's upset, but it helps to balance it out. So unless it's something, you really need to look if the same negative comment pops up a lot, you really need to pay attention to that, because people could be right and you might have an issue that you want to fix. But otherwise, you have to just shake them off. So there are different types of reviews, and we're going to discuss today. There's the professional reviews that are done by people who are paid reviewers, book bloggers, professionals in your field, which could be physicians, psychologists, social workers, nurses, anybody in our space. And then there are also the reader reviews, and these are the random things that pop up on Amazon and Goodreads from just ordinary people who have read your book. And they're all important. They all carry their own weight. I don't know that one is any better than another. I kind of like the reader reviews because I know that these are people who read the book that have personal knowledge or experience with Alzheimer's and dementia, not just professional. Or it's just not like a reviewer who reviews all kinds of different books. You know, I think you want to have validation that you've written a good book, period, regardless of the topic. But the reader reviews, if you have any that are like some of mine, I have people telling me their story in the book review. So those mean a lot to me, and they give me 5 stars. It means that I hit the button for them. Your social media followers can also be a source of reviews for you as well, and that's okay. I have a link here to the top ranked reviewers on Amazon. You can pick through that if you want. It's a really big list, and there's a lot of people on there that review other products than books. But if you had time and motivation, you could pop through there and see if you can find some of these people and pitch them. You need to identify your target audience. Envision the ideal reader. Who is it that you see picking up your book and reading it? So when I think about it, and I think we probably all have the same person in mind. It's a woman, primarily, age 40 to 70, who is caring for either a parent or her spouse with dementia. She may or may not have children at home. She may not have a job. And she may or may not even have time to read a book, which is another topic. But anyway, that's the kind of person I'm looking for. So you can create what they call an avatar. So oftentimes authors, when they are writing, like if you're writing not just your book, but if you're writing an email or a post for Facebook or a blog post, it's a good idea to try to sit down and just like imagine this person, and she's going to be reading it, and write it for her. And you need to find out where she lives on the internet. And there are some places that we kind of have figured that out. Where is she on social media? Mainly, we're going to hope she's using Alzheimer's and dementia sites and blogs, like all authors, but there are hundreds of others. And that's your job, is to try to find out what they are and who to contact there to see if they might want to review your book, because they're all potential sources of book reviews. She may be on book sites and blogs. And more as we go, you know, as Authors grows, I kind of wonder if maybe that's where the readers are that we're looking for. I wonder if maybe she, at the end of the day, is so Alzheimer'd out that she needs an escape. And if she's going to read a book, it might be something else, like a romance novel or a mystery or some kind of thriller, something that is not about dementia. Mm-hmm. I wonder how many people caring for someone have never read a book about dementia, or maybe they don't realize that it even exists, that they could find that. Sometimes I think the best way to introduce them to this genre of books is through something like a novel. We even have thriller novels in our collection that are have Alzheimer's themes, which is amazing. But maybe that's a good way to get through to somebody. Maybe the best way to find readers and reviewers is going to book sites and blogs that are not about Alzheimer's and dementia. So depending on what your book is about, especially like memoir, I think that there's a whole subculture of memoir books and readers that you might be able to go into and have somebody review your book there. So you're not limited to only finding people that are in Alzheimer's world, because caregivers and our target audience, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. Think about where you were on your journey, other places you went, how you spent your day and where you went. That's where they are. They're in Facebook groups. There are a lot of Facebook groups for caregivers, especially dementia and Alzheimer's. Some of you may be involved in them. They're really hard though. The purpose of them is to help the caregivers, kind of like that one-to-one care, and they frown upon any kind of promotion. So it's kind of hard to break into those groups in that way, but it's something to keep in mind. And then the side doors, like I always consider, if you can't walk in the front door, then you try to get in the side door, the back door, and find your target reader somewhere else on another site, on another book site, some other blog that's not about Alzheimer's, that's about reading, and you might be able to find her there. So you need to do a little research and try to figure out where is she? Where's she hiding? And then you got to find the reviewers. So you can do a Google search and you can look up the best book blogs of 2022, best book bloggers, or book anything, book reviewers. There's a bunch of lists. Actually, I have some in the resources that you can look for. And then start mining those names to see if you can find anybody that might be a good match. Or you can subscribe to newsletters. I'm like a newsletter junkie. I know a lot of people don't like to plug up their inbox. And I don't like to do that either. I have like 20,000 emails in my inbox, but I like to subscribe to different newsletters relating to all kinds of stuff: Alzheimer's, dementia, book marketing and publishing, products for authors. And then when I do that, invariably every day I get a few, and I always find something that I can use, either something I can post on social media or a lead. Today I saw, I got one from an author who's joining All's Authors soon. And she was posted in her newsletter that she was recently on a podcast. So I said, oh, let me look this up. And I look up the podcast because I want to find out if I can be on the podcast. So that newsletter, getting that newsletter and spending 2 minutes on it was worth my while, because now I have a new lead to approach for a podcast. And you'll find other opportunities to get book reviews, to join contests. I mean, there's a ton of stuff out there. So find people that you like to follow and subscribe to their newsletter.
Marianne, Elizabeth Miller mentions in the chat that on her My Self Care for Caregivers Facebook group, they allow, or she allows any promotions in the Wednesday Wisdom post comments, events, products, etc. Please don't just post this on any day, as it will be deleted. We don't want to fill our feed with promotions for different things, just the Wednesday post. So,
Okay, so make a note of that. Put it in your calendar on Wednesday. Like I have a calendar on my phone, and every day I check it out. And on Wednesday, you can write, submit something to Elizabeth's Wednesday Wisdom. And then try to make it different. You can offer a tidbit of information, something that's going on, share an article or a post. But when you do something like that, it's not always about buying my book. I think if you've been to my classes before, you heard me say that. Don't just constantly say, buy my book, here's my book, because people just get blind to that and then they don't respond. So you want to establish yourself as a person who is has some knowledge or something to share that's worthwhile in this space. And then people will discover your book. They want to know you and trust you first. So that takes time, but that's a great suggestion, Elizabeth. Thank you very much for putting that out there. I will definitely make a note of it and do it. I can plug in the Alzheimer's events. We could plug in the weekly blog post or podcast or something like that. That would work out great. So when you are going through names or directories or whatever of potential reviewers, you want to make sure, the most important thing, that the person is interested in your genre. So if you wrote a novel, about I'm thinking about Robin Perini's books. She's a thriller writer, so she has a dementia theme in one of her series. You want to find somebody that likes to read and review thriller books. If they'll tell you, usually you'll be able to see on their website whether or not they like that or not. If they say, you know, they're not interested in that genre, don't waste your time and don't waste their time. I get a lot of queries from people asking me to review their book, and it's like one of those fantasy novels or dystopian. I don't read that. I'm not going to read that book. So I have to politely decline. And then I get annoyed because this person sucked up, you know, a minute or two of my time when I said I didn't want that book. If you write memoir and they're interested in doing memoir, you can put that in. That would be good. Make sure you're finding somebody that's going to be interested, and make sure that they're active. Look at their blog. When was the last time they published a post, a book review? If it's been 2 years, then they're probably not doing it anymore. So you don't want to waste your time writing to them. And make sure that they accept queries. A lot of times on a blogger's or a book reviewer's website, it'll tell you whether or not they're accepting queries at this time. Sometimes people just get so overwhelmed that they just can't deal with it. They have too many books to read as it is, and they'll put a stop. I mean, as authors, we do that sometimes. When we start getting overwhelmed with submissions, we'll put a pause on it. And then when we catch up, then we open it up again. So you can always go back and check and see if they've opened it up again, if you really want to be on that site. Part of the beauty of all of that is they're going to be, you know, tend to review books that are similar. They kind of have the same type of avatar that you have. So it's worth pursuing because you might want to be on that website, especially if they don't have like a lot of Alzheimer's books. You know, if you wrote a memoir, that can cover a lot of territory that's not related to Alzheimer's. And people, I think, are interested in just reading about it, even if they're not a caregiver. That'll be great. Follow any guidelines that they might offer on their site. A lot of book bloggers and reviewers will write a whole slew of things of what they're expecting from you to submit your book for review. And if you ignore the guidelines or try to abuse the guidelines, they'll just they'll probably delete the request. So you don't want to fall into that. This quiz I have highlighted here is on a Readsy blog post. Which book review site is right for you? And it's a free little quiz that you can do if you want to spend a few minutes figuring that out. Another important thing to have in mind when you approach your potential reviewer or blogger is any comparative titles that might be relevant. So, for instance, you need to find a handful of books that are similar to yours. So, like for me, my book, Blue Hydrangeas, people always tell me it's like The Notebook. So I will mention to the reviewer, readers say it's like The Notebook. It kind of gives them an idea of what to expect. But when I want to find reviewers that say have reviewed The Notebook, I can do a search on Google. And what I'm going to do is put in the title of the book that I'm comparing to, which would be The Notebook, plus book review, or plus review, or plus Q&A, terms like that. And it'll show me like all the people that have reviewed Nicholas Sparks' book, The Notebook. And then I can go back and I can go and click on each one and do a little investigating and find out if that person is still doing book reviews. How do I contact them? How do they want me to contact them? Maybe this is a good fit for me. What do they say about books? What are they reviewing these days? And then I can send my pitch to them because they've already indicated that they like this type of a book. You can also sign up for a mention account or Google Alerts to get a notification every time these titles appear online. So if you're trying to track somebody, you know, you're stalking them, really. I always say you're following in their footsteps, or you're being a copycat, which is a good thing to do. But you can get a notification every time these titles appear online, and then you can check it out and see what's going on with that. You know, if they were on a podcast, you can contact that podcaster. If they had an interview on a book blog or somebody, you could contact that person, see if they might want to interview you because your book is like theirs. So you need to write a review pitch, a pitch letter. And how you do this is you create a document, it should only be about maybe 4 or 5 paragraphs, not too much. And you would have a lot of the same information is going to go out to each individual. However, you want to personalize every pitch. You don't want to send a blanket email out to like 50 people and hope for a response. You have a better chance if you individualize it or personalize it to that person. So you want to write to the reviewer and explain why you are writing to them in particular. I saw you reviewed the Notebook and well, blah, blah, blah. My book is similar. Give a brief synopsis of the book. Use your tagline. You don't have to give, you could write the your book copy that appears like on the back of your book. You could use that as your synopsis because that's what you've already chosen. So that works. You can offer them with the comparative titles where you would say, my book is like The Notebook, Still Alice. I don't know, I can't think of any others, but you need to do your homework, find those titles, say it's kind of like that. You will offer a review copy only when asked for it. Do not send anybody a book that they didn't ask for. Unless they tell you in the guidelines, they want you to send them a PDF. Then you can do it, but don't just send people a book. They may ask for you to send the first 5 pages or the first chapter or a sample chapter or something like that. And then you would attach that to your email. Keep everything very brief, be very concise. You want to give a very good example of your writing. Okay. If it's full of typos or rambling sentences and gibberish, and you don't seem to look like you know what you're doing, then they're not going to read your book because they're going to expect the book to be the same. So you have to put a lot of thought and care into it. And you always have to be polite when you approach people. You shouldn't have to say that, but you always want to be very polite. Please, thank you, I appreciate all of that. Don't take anything for granted. Sending an ARC or ARC, which stands for an advanced reader copy. So they might ask you to send them a copy of your book. And there are different ways you can do it. The first thing you might want to do is you send them a PDF. And that's the cheapest way to do it. So if you don't have a PDF of your book, then you need to get one, figure out how to get it. I can help you with that. So you would send a PDF because a PDF, nobody can do anything with it. They can just read it. They can't change it or anything. You never send anybody the Word document for your book. Don't ever do that. You can use a delivery service like BookFunnel, which is what I use and what All Authors uses to send out books. If you get into a situation where you're going to be sending out a lot of books, a delivery service like this makes a lot of sense because if the person has any difficulties opening it, they're going to contact BookFunnel. They're not going to contact you because you don't want to be in a situation trying to teach somebody how to open up the document when, you're on the internet or you're doing email and you can't see what they're doing. It gets very frustrating and confusing. So a service like BookFunnel is really helpful that way. You can also purchase them a book, an ebook. Now, if you go on your Amazon account and you buy a copy of your book and gift it to somebody, they give you that option. You'll get a royalty on that. So it's not really expensive. It only ends up costing you like less than $1 probably to deliver them the real Kindle book as it appears, on the Amazon store for anybody who buys it. And that would be appreciated. Sometimes people want a physical copy. So you will send them a copy of your book. You can have, if you're self-published through Amazon, you can order a book right direct from KDP and send it an author copy, send it to them. And whatever the expenses, it'll be cheaper than if you bought them a book off of the Amazon bookstore. It's always a good idea to have a handful of books at home. In the event that you have a chance to send a book out right away, you can do it that day if you want. If you have a publisher, they usually send you books when your book is published, and that's what they're for. Those books are for you to send out for reviews and publicity, not to gift to family. and friends. So you want to save them for that. And track your progress when you start, like create some kind of a spreadsheet or a list where you can keep track of who you contacted, where you sent the book, the date, of course, any response that you might get, and keep track of it, because as you go along, it's the list is going to build and build. So you want to make sure that you know what's going on. Where are we now? So after you send the pitch letter, if you don't hear back from them in 2 weeks or so, give them some time. You can send a brief follow-up email, and again, be very polite. Don't be demanding. If you never hear back from them, then just move on. Sometimes people, they're just so inundated, they just click delete, and that's it, it's over. Remember that a review is a gift. People don't have to do anything. Even if you give them ship them a paperback copy or a hardcover copy of your book, they're not obligated to do anything. And that's a good idea, because if they didn't like the book, you don't want them to write something. A lot of reviewers will just decline to write the review. You know, if they're just going to bash it, you don't want that to show up on your Amazon page. They may contact you and let you know the reason why, and maybe it's a valid reason, and you have more work to do. So if you never hear back from them, or even after you send them the book, it might be a good thing. All right. Nobody owes you anything unless you pay them. And just remember that nobody is obligated to do a review. When I first published in 2013, at that time, I got a lot of reviews. People were really into doing reviews. But lately, people just don't seem to even want to put the time in to do a review. And Amazon even changed the system where now you can just do a rating and just click the star number and move on. So I think that might be an indication of that. I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something else about that. If you get a review, what usually happens is the person will tell you that the book was reviewed, and they'll give you the link. Sometimes they send you the review ahead of time, so you'll know what's coming. You don't argue with the person. You know, you don't ever argue with that person. You know, you can send a polite, gee, I'm sorry you feel that way. You thought the book, you know, I rambled, or I had an incomplete ending, or whatever comment they make. But you don't get angry. I mean, you can write a nasty email and then delete it. You can do that, but you don't want to offend anybody. That's not a way to make friends. So they might send it to you ahead of time. They might not. You, of course, if it's a very good review, you're going to want to post it wherever you can so that everybody can see. And that person, the reviewer, they should be posting it where they can. So then your book's going to get a little bump in publicity that day, which is great. And you can milk it for as long as you want. Post it wherever you can, on your social media, on your blog, your website. You can actually put it on your Amazon author page, which we're going to talk about. You can put it in the book. So when I first published my book, of course, I don't have reviews, right? I didn't even know how to get reviews. I didn't know anything. So I just put the book out there. And then as time went on, I started collecting all these really nice reviews. So I redid my book, and I added like a couple of pages in the beginning where I put these reviews in there. So now when somebody picks up the paperback book, because they're not on the Amazon page, they can't see all the reviews that are on the Amazon page, but they pick up the book, they open the page, you know, the first pages, and then they see all the reviews that were good. So that's a very good marketing tool. And you can do that if you have a self-published book. Sometimes people have somebody that they trust read the reviews before they do, if they're really like sensitive. A lot of us, we're not like many authors, because the stories that we write are very personal and painful sometimes. we've bared our soul. Any author, when they deliver a book, it's like delivering a baby, you know? But for, I think, those of us who are writing our stories, our personal stories in this field, in this domain of dementia, it carries its own special weight. And many times, you know, you're writing about people that you really love and that you miss. And every bit of it is hard. I mean, we know that. So a lot of times people are very reluctant to read comments. And there's always that little, when you see that there's a new review, what are they saying? You know, am I gonna like, you know, is it gonna hurt me? I don't know that people may not even be so worried this is gonna hurt the book. And it's gonna hurt them. It's gonna hurt them. It's gonna hurt their heart. So they're do it with a little trepidation. So you can have somebody that you trust read it first, like your spouse or your friend, your mom, anybody, and let them read it and then have them tell you, this is good. You want to hear it, you know, and they could read it to you. And then that softens the blow. I don't know that anybody really gets a lot of negative reviews in All's Authors, just because of the nature of what we do. And most of the people that read our work, they know what we've been through, and so they appreciate that we told the story. I do know that heard there are some negative people out there, and if you've been paying attention, you may have heard, and this was just very recently that this happened. Some of the authors that are really out there that have dementia, like Wendy Mitchell, who is in our group, and Norm McNamara is another one that comes to mind, because they're so high functioning and they're able to write. And to be honest, like Wendy Mitchell, she didn't write her book. Somebody wrote it for her, but it has her name on it. People criticize them and say that they can't possibly have dementia because they wouldn't be able to do this, that you're a fraud and stuff like that. That's the worst criticism. And I've seen that written about them, and it's upsetting. And I know people have written it in some of the reviews because their dementia story was different. So they think that you're lying, or, your book is false. This isn't true. I've read that in some reviews. So I think that's probably like the worst thing that can happen. The other worst thing that can happen is that, and it happens because anybody can publish a book these days. So I used to tell this to my students, when you hit that publish button on Amazon, KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, there's nobody on the other side of the book that's a gatekeeper that's going to keep out the bad books. They publish that book exactly the way that it was sent. I once had a man I worked with publish a book. He used to go to all my classes, and it was a horrible thing. And I told him, I said, do not publish this book. And he went and he did it anyway. And it was a horrible thing. He had pictures in the book that were sideways. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you everything about it was wrong. And he was so happy that he had published his book. But I just use that as an example that anything can get published. So people are going to respond to that. So if your book has bad formatting, they're going to point that out. If it's got a lot of typos and things like that, then they're going to point that out. I mean, that book needs to be pristine when it goes out, but people will write a hateful review if they think that. So that's like the worst thing that you can get, is somebody criticizing you for that, for the production part of it, and not necessarily for the story or the writing. You just have to ignore them, especially the crazy people that are out there. The ones that say they give you 1 star because the book was left out on the step in the rain and it got water damage. So that's somehow your fault as the author. You just have to ignore those people. Like Taylor Swift always says, the haters are going to hate. So, you just let them hate and you leave them behind. If you have any valid criticism in a book review, then you need to address that. You need to think about it, especially if it keeps popping up and some people keep saying the same thing. If they keep saying that there's too many typos, well, maybe you do have too many typos. Maybe you missed something. Maybe you sent sent up the wrong version of your book. It's not the most final version. That can happen because we all end up with, a half a dozen versions of our book on our hard drive. And then we can't remember which one was the last one. So you need to take a look at that. Reviews don't typically go away. So you can approach Amazon and you can point out to Amazon if you have a review that you feel is abusive, they can review it and then they can decide whether or not they want to eliminate it from the site. But typically they never go away. So you just have to keep that in mind. Even if you have, you've published the wrong version or your book is full of typos or issues, formatting problems, and you fix it, those old reviews are still going to be there. The next step is to make the reviews work for you. This is one of my fun things that I like to do. You're going to go through the review and call positive, exciting sentences or phrases from them. You're going to extract that. And then you can use that on social media or, in making graphics. You can, like I said, add them to the front or front of your book or on the back of your book cover if you want to do a revision of your book, which you can do if you're self-published. You want to post them to your social media with attractive graphics. You can make graphics. We use Canva, which you can make beautiful graphics with Canva. Include the book cover. And then you're always going to add a link to the book's page in the text on your post. So it's not going to be in the graphic, but it's going to be in the text that you write, the 280 words on Twitter. It's going to include the link to wherever you want that person to go to find out more about your book, which could be your All's Authors page. It could be Amazon. It could be your website, wherever you want them to go. As I mentioned, you can add them to the back cover or front matter of your book. And then editorial reviews, you can post on your Amazon page using authorcentral.com. So I just went on authorcentral.com and saw that they had changed a lot of the ways that it works. So I was kind of like, whoa, thrown, because I was on it recently and it was different. I couldn't see how you would go about adding reviews to your Amazon author page, but I did find instructions, which I included in the resources at the end of the slideshow. So you can have that. You'll be able to do that yourself. But you can go in, if you haven't done it already, especially if you're self-published, you should be able to, everybody gets an Amazon author page on Amazon, which is a very valuable piece of real estate that you need to pay attention to. And I think I've mentioned it before, but you can go through it to authorcentral.com, log in using your Amazon username and password, and then you can claim all of your books. They'll show up on a page. They let you put in a bio. They let you add video, pictures, all kinds of stuff. They let you add editorial reviews. So if somebody blogs, some blogger writes up a nice review about your book, you can take some of the best lines from it and you can add them to your editorial reviews and credit that person. Now, here in this group around you, all these people you see on the screen, every one of them is a potential reviewer for your book, right? Who better? Who better? So you say you send Jean Lee your book and ask for a review and she reviews it. When you upload it to your Amazon page, you can write, what Jean said, most marvelous book on Alzheimer's ever written. And then at the end, you can attribute it to Jean Lee, author of Alzheimer's Daughter, co-founder and manager of allsauthors.com. Not just to give Jean some plugs, but to demonstrate that somebody who has authority in the field has recommended your book. So just the fact that you're in All's Authors is a recommendation for your book. You should be using that too. That's something you can put on your Amazon author page as your photo of your recommended by All's Authors badge that we have on the website. So don't be afraid to reach out to other people, especially people who've written books like yours, and do ask for reviews. How are we doing? Anybody have any questions? Jean? Do I have to unmute?
I just
I have
wanted
one.
to make a quick comment on that about the importance of the author central page. As acquisitions editors for all authors, if we are looking for a book and that author has no author central page, it is a real red flag and indicator that they are a complete newbie and they really need some, they need to work on their book a little more before they seek inclusion into something like All's Authors. It would be a thumbs down kind of a thing. You want your author central page, you want to claim your books there, and you want to have some kind of feed going into that author central page too. You can have every blog post that you write can feed right into there. Your Twitter feed can feed into it, but it's important. And a lot of people just, kind of ignore that. They think, okay, my book's out there for sale. But it's important.
Excellent point. Thank you. Somebody else said they had a question.
Lisa, I don't know, am I unmuted?
Yes,
Thank you. This is so informative
great.
because I have been trying to give reviews to the books I've read, and I must have two different author public profiles, because as I searched for my own reviews just now and my own author page, a secondary one came up. And when I reviewed The Wildflowers in Winter, then it went to a different author page. So I've got to sort this out big time.
Yeah, that sounds weird. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe you do.
Maybe I have a multiple account.
Did you publish on KDP?
I did.
Then you would use your username and password that you
And
use
go
for
in.
your Amazon account instead
Yeah,
of setting
but
up a new account. So you
There
might
must
want to
be
call
two ahead.
KDP. If you call KDP, they will help you.
Okay.
That's one beautiful thing. You'd never know about Amazon, but you can call somebody at Amazon KDP and you
Yeah, I
will
have
speak to
called
somebody.
KDP. Yeah, thanks. That's what I'll do. I'll track it down
Yeah.
through KDP.
Okay, so I just wanted to include here one of mine memes that I made for my book. I used as a background the picture of the couple on the beach because my book takes place on Cape Cod. And then I included this particular blurb of a review. I don't even know who wrote this one because I didn't attribute it to them, but you would include something like that, a little, in quotations. I have my allsauthors.com on there, the book cover, and then that it's available on Amazon Kindle. So that's all you would have to do. And then you would just write some text. You could write, a good thing to write sometimes for text is like some line or something from your book, some little tidbit that you find that you think is compelling or going to, pique somebody's interest. You could just put that in there with a little comment about, about the book and with the link to where you want them to go to find it with your hashtag allsauthors, hashtag Alzheimer's, hashtag dementia, hashtag caregivers, hashtag Alzheimer's books, whatever you want to use as your hashtag. So that's kind of what I'm talking about, is using a book review or a line from it in your social media this way, catching somebody's attention. Been talking about this a lot. Here's I gave you the guidelines in the at the end of the resources, but they allow you to do a lot of things with the Amazon page that you weren't previously you couldn't do, but you can use like bold text, italicized text, bullet points, or numbered lists to make it more interesting. So it's just not that block of text. And this helps customers see when they're scanning the book page to see, what you want them to see. So you set it up the way you want them to see it. Include the reviewer's name and their qualifications if they have them. So if it's an MD or whatever, and then any publications that they might have used, like I had mentioned, to say that it was by Jean Lee, author of Alzheimer's Daughter, co-founder and manager of allsauthors.com, stuff like that. That helps them, but it also helps you. It gives you a lot of credibility to have people that look like the experts in the field that like your book rather than just, some random reader. So speaking about the random readers, getting those reviews, those customer reviews on Amazon. I know people get all, I hear that all the time. People get all upset because the readers, they're not reviewing. Well, you know, that's getting harder and harder every year. I know that I used to write a lot of reviews, and then I kind of stopped because this can be time consuming. And then recently, in the last year or so, I started getting back to it because I knew how important it is to the author, especially if I know that it's like an independently published author. If it's somebody that's like, you know, got Random House behind them, I don't worry too much because they already have heard from a lot of people that have more credentials than I do. I'm not really always on top of that, but if it's somebody, you know, that's from I don't typically do reviews for all authors, but other things I read. I try to at least take 5 minutes to write something nice about their book, but that's getting even harder to get. So you just can't get upset about that. You need to try to go and get some of these other people to write the review for you. Friends and family, they're not going to cut it. You don't even know enough people in your friends and family to get the number of reviews you want. I mean, you could send out like 30 queries and maybe get a half a dozen reviews out of it. You know, it's like a numbers game. So it's best not to focus on those customer reviews. And they're going to come in, they're going to pour in, you know, over time. Like my first book, well, it's been out longer. It's been out since 2013, has, I don't remember, 270 reviews, customer reviews. And then other books that are much more recent than that, they have like 30 or 40. So that is a huge disparity. So they're nice to get, and you have no control over them either. So you never know who's going to write and what they're going to write. So at least this way you can send it to the proper people that you'd like to hear from. Endorsements are like either blurbs or testimonials. You see those on a lot of books when, you know, somebody famous publishes a book like Mary Alice Monroe or whatever. She's got about 50 of these blurbs or testimonials in the beginning of the book, short promotional statements. You can put them on your book cover. In the front matter, which I talked about, the front pages of your book, website, social media, if you're lucky to get any of these. These are like, they're not necessarily a review. They're just comments. It's not like a long in-depth analysis of your book, like a book review would be. And sometimes they're easier to get because people don't have to put a lot of writing time in it. And that was another thing I wanted to say about like these Amazon readers who want to write a review. You know, people they don't know how to do it, period. That's probably the biggest part of the issue. They don't know what to write. They don't know how to write. They don't want to look like a fool. Some of my favorite reviews are from people that are like that even in spite of that, they were compelled to try to let me know that they really enjoyed my story. And they write sentences that kind of don't make sense sometimes, or their misspellings, and there's problems. And I know that this person, it was hard for them to write that. Now on Amazon, they do give you instructions on how to write a review if you go to write a review.
Can
So
I say
people
something?
might not know that.
Mm.
Go on.
Just don't mean to interrupt you. I've had people say to me, I don't think I can write a review. I don't know how. But right before that, they tell me the things they liked about my book. So I have been just saying, I don't care if it's one sentence. What you just said to me is a review. I think a lot of people think it has to be polished in some way.
A book report.
A book review, you know. Yeah.
Like in school, the book
Well, they're
reports that you had to
hesitant.
write.
They've never done one, and they think that whatever they write is not good enough.
Yeah, that's true. And we have to keep that in mind. So you can help people too. Like if you have friends and family that want to do it, you can encourage them what to write, you know, that it's not as hard as they think it's going to be.
Right.
Yeah, people are put off by that. I spent authorcentral.com wrong. I got to fix that. What else? So if you've written a novel, then ask other authors who've written novels to review your book. That's the logical thing. If you've written nonfiction, experts in the field and others to do the endorsement. So it's not a full review, but it's an endorsement. I know a lot of people here have them. I've seen them on your book. And then these you can also upload to your Amazon page. via authorcentral.com. And all the same principles apply when asking for an endorsement as they do to a review. Okay, we're running out of time, but I did want to spend a few minutes talking about paid reviews. These are reviews you actually put cash out for, and you will get a review. I mean, it's paid product. It may take several weeks, but eventually it will show up in your inbox. And it is what it is. And some of these reviews can be written by people who are, you know, that's what they do for a living, for big publishing houses and magazines in the publishing industry. So they carry a lot of weight and they cost a lot of money. So I would recommend you could go into like Reedsy Discovery. They charge $50, but they have a place where I think they said it was thousands of potential reviewers. But your book goes into like a depository, and then people looking to review books, they can shop there and see it, you know, and find it there and take it and do the review. That's worth $50 easily. Upwork, I'm not familiar with. They charge $15, but you could ask for a book review from somebody there. Then I got into some of these big money ones like Kirkus, which is huge. Indie Reader, I did with them years ago. It was I think it was $125 at the time. And it entered my book into their contest. And that's how I got my Indie Reader, approved by Indie Reader medallion on my book. And it's on their website. And I have quotations from it on my Amazon page. That was something I really wanted, and I got it. They entered my book into the contest, but I didn't win. Publishers Weekly Book Life. Go on their website, Book Life, and register your book. Every time I've done that, eventually my book shows up as the book of the week. So, and I didn't pay for that. That was free. You can pay them $399 to get a book review. When I did it, was $80. And I paid it and I got it. A little tiny thing. I would never do it again. But when you're starting out, you don't know, right? You don't know what you're doing. Reader's Favorite is a great place to go. You can put your book in there and you can get a free review. However, it could take a long, long time. So if you don't want to wait, you can pay them $59 to get the first one. It'll be done in 2 weeks. I've done that. That's not bad money. I haven't done the online book club, but they start at $97. And then this one sounds good. I might do this one, Pubby. You post your book, it's free for 10 days. And then after that, you pay $20 a month and you can cancel it whenever you want. So say your goal was to get like 20 reviews, you could just do that and you could just keep it going until you reached your goal. And then I attached an article called Are Paid Book Reviews Worth It? My answer, no. You can use that money to buy advertising and that's going to sell more books. Because I don't believe, for most readers, I don't believe they're going to be swayed one way or the other because of what Kirkus Book Review said. That's my opinion. Here are some of the rules for Amazon. You may have heard of them. They won't let you post a review unless you spent $50 on Amazon in the past 12 months. Reviews from close family and friends are prohibited. So if your sister writes you a review, you can't have her write a review. Oh, I'm so proud of my sister. She wrote such a beautiful book. No, do not do that. There was a lot of talk years back in social media groups and the writers groups about Amazon somehow managing to discover that you were friends with somebody who wrote a review for you and taking it down, which is like the worst nightmare. Once you manage to get a book review, you don't want Amazon to take it down after all your hard work. And I mean, that happens. It happens a lot. But then, finally it came to be like, because a lot of people, like, we know each other. The people in this group right now, we don't know each other, but we're acquainted and we all know about each other's books. So if we all wrote book reviews for each other, it would be okay. However, they prohibit review swaps. So it's like, I can't say, okay, Jean, I'll review your book and you review mine. That's frowned on in Amazon. And if they figure it out, they will remove the reviews and you could even get booted out of Amazon. So a lot of people don't believe that Amazon will kick you out, but I'll tell you, they kicked me out and it was forever. So It had nothing to do with reviews. It was because they didn't like the book cover, the image I used on a book cover, my sequel or prequel to Blue Hydrangeas called Christmas at Blue Hydrangeas. They didn't like the they asked me if I had copyright to use that book, that photograph, which I did. I paid for that photograph. I bought it from Adobe Stock. And I wrote to Adobe Stock and they sent me documentation stating that I had full use license for that photo. And Amazon said, nope, they didn't like that documentation. They pulled my book out of the store until I put a new
dear.
cover on it. So
Crazy.
Amazon will can pull you out, and they do. And they take down people's reviews and people get very upset. So you don't want to fool around with Amazon because you don't want to get kicked out. So there's no quid pro quo. However, you can give free or discounted copies of your books to readers with no strings attached. You might want them, sometimes they were saying that, they wanted the reviewer to write in exchange, I received this book in exchange for an impartial review or something like that. And then there's also this business about verified purchases. If the person buys the book from Amazon, the review is marked as a verified purchase, which means it was a legitimate Amazon purchase as opposed to somebody just writing a review on your book. They didn't buy it there. I don't think that means anything. That doesn't mean anything to me. The last thing I want to talk about is the Round Robin Review Club. Everybody here is invited to be in it. And this is our way of working together to generate reviews for each other in groups of 3. So we don't have to deal with that quid pro quo issue. So you would have a trio of authors get together and author A would read author B's book. Author B would read author C's book. Author C would read author A's book in a circle. So you're not swapping a review. And that's on Facebook. And if you're not already in it, send one of us an email and we'll invite you to be in it. And we've generated quite a few reviews for people since we started that. And I'd like to keep it going because it's a really great way to meet some friends and to get some good book reviews from other people who have written books on Alzheimer's and dementia. These are some of the resources that are here. I added this one. I thought it was funny. It came up, Team Golfwell, free reviews. What really intrigued me about it is they're in New Zealand. And it's a golf group and they love to read books and write reviews and it's free. So you could make a pitch and send it and then maybe you'll get a review in New Zealand, which would be a really cool place. I wonder what the dementia story is in New Zealand. I don't know. And then at the end, just about me, in case you didn't already know how to reach me and my social media. So does anybody have any questions? Oh, somebody said that they love the All's Author sweatshirts. What do you guys think? Show off your shirts,
like
girls.
I like them.
You like them? Good, because soon
I think they look cool.
you can get your own very soon.
Oh.
So keep watching your email, okay? Because we've been up to something, and we've been up to a lot of good things. And in the coming month or 2, you're going to be getting a lot of new information and fun things in All's Authors.
Okay, I'm excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
I just have one thing to say. I've had some success with spending money on Facebook because I'm also a columnist. And if I send a column out, it might only cost me maybe $20 to run something for a week or 2, but I've been able to really expand my readership that way. And then I can put Alt Authors eventually, and I can put my website on there. So I'm finding Facebook, even though I don't like it a lot, I'm finding lucratively for what your bang for your buck. It's something to look into.
What was it called?
Just on Facebook, you just create a post and then you buy an ad.
Okay. I know what you mean. The
Yeah.
boosting. Is it the boosting?
I guess boosting isn't the right word. I'm sorry. You can just, when you put it on, you can just pay for it to go to a wider audience. And you can even pick your audience. You can have things go to the UK or China or Japan, or you have a lot of options on where your advertisement goes using just paid advertisements on Facebook.
That is a boost post.
Boost
Boost
posts, that's what
posts.
it is.
You boost your post.
Yeah,
And you can pay 10, 20, $25, $50, and you get a pretty
Yeah.
good bang for your buck that way.
All right. Go back to my notes here. Okay, so we want to thank you for coming and giving us some of your precious time today. I hope that what information I shared is helpful to you and that you are able to get a few more book reviews. That's certainly one of our goals. Here at All's Authors, the team, we work so hard to help promote your books. And I've been doing this for 9 years, not All's Authors, but being an author, the author life for 9 years. And I've spent a lot of time and money putting my books into book places, book websites and things like that. And sometimes I have to pay money, and I don't get any service like I get through All's Authors. Nobody's putting my book out on social media on a regular basis or offering me anything more than the fact that my book is on their site. And for all I know, the book's not even there anymore because I don't go back and check. So I just wanted to let y'all know that we do what we do because it's a mission. Our mission as former caregivers is to provide resources for others who are currently on the journey and to help reduce the silence and stigma of a diagnosis. And we believe storytelling is a key to that. So what we do it from the heart. Nobody gets paid. We do have some benefactors that have been very kind and generous. We do have many, many new initiatives coming out this year that you're going to be really excited about. I know Jean can't wait. She can't wait to talk about it, but we're not quite ready yet. So they're going to be great opportunities. So please stay in touch with us. Follow us on social media, like and tweet and share our stuff. And read your newsletter. Open your newsletter every week. We have a really high level of opens on our, it's like more than double the like standard amount. I think if you get like 25% opens, you're doing good. And our open rate is well, like 60 or 70%. So we know that people are reading our newsletters, which is great because that's, believe it takes like a whole week to get that newsletter together. And more than one person does it. And the writers group is also a great place for us to communicate. And we do want to share your stuff on the All's Authors, Alzheimer's and Dementia Resources page, which is different from the writers group. The writers group is only, 100 or so people that are in All's Authors, but the Alzheimer's and Dementia page reaches thousands. So you're invited to have your, any of your news or your blog posts posted on that page. So if you can't do it directly yourself, just when you put out a post about your latest blog post at one of us, so alert us or send us an email and let us know, and we will post it on the page for you because we need content too. Whenever you have social media or a blog or anything, you have the responsibility of providing fresh content every day, and it's work and it's draining. So if somebody provides us with something we can use instead, it saves us time. We like that, and we want to help. And that's how we build our community and raise awareness of the dementia diagnosis and caregiving and promote your books as well. So please share your stuff, stay in touch. Then I have 2 more of these sessions planned, and I can't remember which months they were. One was on doing newsletters, and I don't remember. I can't remember what the other one was. Guest blogging, maybe somebody remembers. There's a whole slew of ideas. So we're going to try and do these once a month, and we've got some more virtual Q&As coming up as well. So that's kind of routine. If you have any other questions, you can contact me on email and look for the replay. That'll be in the newsletter and on the writers group page when I put it up. And you can save the chat notes, remember, by clicking the 3 little arrows there and right, save chat. Anything else that I don't know? That I didn't say?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Just looking to make sure I didn't miss any questions. I don't think so. Okay. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.